Hello, everybody. I am back. I know it's been a while, but we are finally back with Bubble Guppies episode reviews. And before we get started, I will happily say that we are almost done with season one, and I can happily say that the last episode of season one, which is Haunted House Party, which is a Halloween special, will be posted on Halloween, which, if that's not a coincidence or if that's just not a good calculations, I don't know what is. But yeah. But in the meantime, let's focus on this episode, which is the 17th episode, season 1, episode 17, Happy Clam Day. In this episode, when Molly and Gil find Clam in a mailbox trying to mail himself to his cousin Sam for Clam Day, the Guppies have to learn about the mail so they can help Clam send an invitation to Sam. Now, this episode, I really like it. And for those who don't know, this episode was actually the very first episode in production. This was actually the very first episode in production. You can tell because I'm reading this off of the wiki. The Nickelodeon light bulb logo and the laughing sound from the 2001 and 2008 split screen credits logo instead of rebrand current logo from promotional material were used since this episode was produced in 2009. And this is the first episode of season 1 in production code. And this, if you guys don't know, there was a rumor going around before the Bubble Guppies pilot was found that this episode actually had the concept of this episode had the concept. There was a rumor going around that this episode was the original version of Happy Clam Day, but that was debunked. I mean, this maybe because when the pilot was found, the pilot episode, which I kind of want to review one day, it was actually reviewed. It actually found out that this episode, it didn't have anything to do with a holiday. It just had something to do with being happy. Because in the pilot, when the pilot first began, the pilot said that today's show is about being happy. So maybe that's why people thought that. But yeah, but I'm so happy that the pilot was found. And there's a lot of things in this episode that I will go over in the difference. But yeah, let's talk about this episode in general. So I will start off by saying that when the episode opens up its title card, the music is different. It's a bit more higher pitch. So that's one different. That's our one difference from to say that this episode was made early on in production. Molly and Gil are swimming to school, and then they find a mailbox, and in front of it, it's a box that's moving up and down. And they open up the box and they find out Clam's inside. And then they ask, what's Clam doing? And he says he's trying to mail himself to his cousin Sam. And then they say that you can't mail yourself, Clam. And then he said that he wants to mail himself because today's Happy Clam Day. And he wants to see Sam in person. So then they bring the box to school. And here's another difference. Instead of waiting, when everybody's sitting down, all the Guppies are sitting down. Instead of the other Guppies who are already in school waiting for the other Guppies we saw at the beginning of the episode. So, difference number 2. And then the Guppies ask Molly what's in the box. And then they say, it's Clam. And then they ask, why is Clam in a box? And they explain that he's trying to mail himself to his cousin Sam. And then he also explains about the holiday of Happy Clam Day and how there's a party and a celebration. And can I just say, I love Dima in this episode. I love Dima. Whoever was in charge of creating Dima, since this was the first episode in production, whoever thought of the character Dima, you deserve a raise. I wish you the best. I hope that character was based off of your younger child. I love Dima so much. You don't even know. But get focused. But then, they decide to write Sam a letter. And when they finish writing the letter, Mr. Grouper says that I don't think it's ready to go yet because it's still missing a couple of things. And here's another difference. When we're in the question segment, they're all asking about what goes on a letter. And then instead of being like three guppies in the same segment, is actually all the guppies hovering over the bubble. Like one comes next, then another, then another. We don't swim to the next bubble with the next answer for our question, which is another difference. And then we have our pop song. I want to say first pop song since this is the first song in production, but we have Mail Send Me a Letter. And this pop song, Molly and Dima shippers, this one's for you. Like I said, I don't ship these two. I kind of get why people ship them, but I don't ship kids nor preschoolers. End of discussion. I don't have a problem with people wanting to go that way. But I have a problem if it's with kids. That's all I'm gonna say. And it's a really good song. I love it. Like, mail, send me a letter. A minute up and I feel better. So happy I sent one to you. You're gonna send me one too. And in the song, like, tell me why Gil is holding a love letter on Molly. If I can find a picture, I would put it right here. But he's legit holding a letter from Molly. Like, oh my goodness. They're really trying to shade something in, but I do not want to say anything. My hands are shaking right now. Okay, I'm good. And then we have our first post office segment with Nani, my dearest Nonners. And we have and this episode got me introduced on how heavy a package is, how many stamps you'll need. So, like, for instance, I'm not going to say with what Molly and Una had in their packages, but we basically had to see, like, depending on how heavy the package was, depending how many feathers they needed. And then it was time for lunch, and then Nani had a stamp which is really funny. And I'm going to say it. Gil had the best lunch. Pizza and apple juice. Which child doesn't love pizza and apple juice? Mwah. Yummy. And then we have our Molly and Gil segment. And then we have Gil actually holding a letter, the letter B, saying that he's gonna mail it. And then Molly said, "That's the letter B." And then he said, "Uh-oh, I'm scared of bees." And then the bee actually comes alive and is actually acting like a bee, and then it chases him away. It's really funny. But continuity issue. I was going to wait till I got to this review, but I have to say it now. Even some people on the fandom pointed it out. Gil's saying he's scared of bees in this episode. But season 3, the Bubble Biathlon, he loves bees just like the others. Continuity problem. I'm giving you the bombastic side eye. I have a real fatigue when it comes to continuity. So then, aside from that, we head back to the classroom, and then all the Guppies are about to send the letter, and then when Mr. Groover says that the letter's ready to go, Dima, I swear, she goes into a whole song and dance, singing Happy Clam Day in Yankee Doodle style. Like, Happy Clam Day, Happy Clam Day, Happy Clam Day to ya. I love this Guppy. I love her so much. And then Molly stops Dima dead in her tracks and she said, "We have to mail the letter first." And she's like, "Oh, yeah." I love these two together because whenever Dima gets silly, like a bit too silly, it's either Molly or Una. That tries to, like, okay, we're getting a bit too silly here. We have to tone it down just a little bit. You can still be silly, but just calm down just a little bit, okay? Like, one of those two Guppies will always be there to calm down Dima whenever she gets a bit too silly. But we've all had that friend like that. We all did. And then when they're finally outside about to mail the letter, Dima, once again, still in the show for me, she's like, "I didn't get to say goodbye." And then she's like, "Goodbye, letter, goodbye." And then she kisses it, and then she's like, "I'm good." The drama, I'm crying. And then when they finally put the invitation in the mailbox, they're like, "How does it get to Sam's house?" And then this is when instead of having the same thing earlier with just all the guppies showing up in the same answer question bubble, instead of the bubble changing on its own without going to swim into the next one, it's the same thing. It's finally changed to what we have in the actual series. Well, this is in the actual series, but you know what I mean. But instead of 3, there's much more. I feel like there's like more than 5, I think. If you've seen the episode, you know what I mean. So this is the first one in production. And then we have our dance song. We have our dance song, which is it's really, really catchy. It's really catchy. I like it. It sometimes gets stuck in your head. Trust me, it does. And then it's time to go outside, and then we have our story segment. And this story it actually doesn't have any bad guys, which is good. It's Postal Zip. Gil's playing Postal Zip, and Gobi's playing Postmaster General. And then like a space mail concept is silly and wacky. I feel like this is something you'll see in the Backyardigans, which, I mean, there's no surprise. It doesn't make sense because a handful of creators on the Backyardigans worked on Bubble Guppies. So I don't see, and not to mention, Gil has Tyrone's catchphrase from the episode Special Delivery. So somewhat that's a dead giveaway right there. That is a dead giveaway. And I like the story. And also, this will be the only episode until season 5 where somebody who's the narrator is a character in the story. So, yeah. But to be honest, I kind of prefer this concept with the character not only being the narrator but also being a character in the story because I like everybody feeling included in the story, not just a person just reading off the story, you know? I like everybody to be included in the story. You know? And the whole challenge is that Gil gets his mail mixed up in a meteor storm, and then he has, and like stakes are high, like the space mail, the post office is closing, and then he's able to sort out the mail. And then we cut back to Molly and Gil's segment, and then we have Gil explaining to Molly that mail used to be delivered by ponies. It was called the Pony Express. And this show actually didn't teach me that. It was actually the Wonder Pets, so but it's okay. It's okay to learn the same thing out of different shows. It's okay. But and then he explains that during that time, delivering the mail was dangerous. You had to watch out for a lot of things. And then Molly at one point says, "I heard of stamps." And then Gil's like, "I heard of stamps? Of course I heard of stamps, Molly." And she's like, "No, behind you, I heard of stamps." And literally it's like a whole stampede of stamps just chasing at him like bucking broncos. And then they all stick to his face. And that scream that Gil had off screen when he was being chased by them. Oh, God. Oh, my goodness. And then we finally cut back to the classroom and everybody's setting up for the party. And I absolutely love the interior. It is so much fun. Gobi's blowing up balloons. Mr. Grouper and Nani are fixing up party snacks. Una gives Molly and Gil their party hats, and Dima's over there by the stereo, and she turns it on, and then Una turns it off, and she's like, "Not yet, Dima. Sam's not here yet." And then Dima, she's literally me. She's like, "Ooh, I can't wait to dance," and she's so excited. And then we have Clam over at the window, and he doesn't know where Sam is, and he's waiting for him. And then he said it won't be a happy Clam Day party without him, and he's worried that he didn't get his invitation. And then they see a car pulling up outside their school, and they think it's Clam, and then they think it's Sam, and then it's actually the mail carrier. And fun fact, the mail carrier is actually voiced by Maria Estrada. I don't know if I said her last name right, but she's actually the voice director. I don't know if she was just the voice director in the first season or the voice director overall. I don't know. I think so. I could be wrong, and then in the but then when they're about to open the box, Dima says the catchphrase that we all know and love. The suspense is mending. Just my queen right there. And then they finally open it up and it's a disco ball. And then they ask, what's this for? And then he says, it's for the party. And then Sam finally comes. And Sam is voiced by the legendary Tom Kenny, the voice of SpongeBob SquarePants, the voice of Dr. Two Brains from Word Girl, the voice of Ice King from Adventure Time. This guy is a legend. And whoever hired him to voice Sam needs $1,000 raise. $1,000 raise. I will take money out of my account to pay that person who hired Tom Kenny to voice Sam. I'll put it into their raise. Let me do that, okay? I will. And then Sam is finally here, and they have the disco ball, and they can finally party down. And the song that they sing is really, really cute. Like, we love you, Clam, 'cause you're clammy, clammy, clammy. CLAM, Clam. We love you, Clam. It was just so cute. I loved it so much. I loved it. And then we have our last Molly and Gil segment of the episode, and then Gil's saying that Molly and Gil are reflecting on how they had a really good happy clam day, and Gil's pondering over hopefully he gets a letter someday, and then the bee once again shows up behind him, and then Molly says, what about that letter? And then the bee chases him off screen, ending the episode. So overall, as the very first episode in production, if this was actually the first episode, I mean, Call the Clamulance will always leave a special place in my heart. But if we're comparing this episode, I kind of like it a teeny bit better. But both of these episodes, Call Clamulance and Happy Clam Day, will always leave a special place in my heart, because this is what got the show started, and obviously that was the first episode that aired with the very first season. So both of those episodes will always leave a special place in my heart. And this episode, I'm going to give it a 9. I like it. It was really solid. I'm going to give this episode a 9. It was really, really fun. And Dima, my queen, made this episode for me. She made this episode for me. And that's all I'm going to say. So, tune into our next review, as we will be reviewing our 18th episode of this season. Season 1, episode 18, Can You Dig It? See you all next time.